Greetings, YouTube viewers of the LRRcast. In addition to your ongoing Patreon support, for which we thank you, this week's LRRcast video is brought to you by Crunchyroll, a place to stream hundreds of your favorite professionally subtitled anime series, like Attack on Titan, which I understand is pretty popular, or if you are trapped on the couch for an extended period of time, how about 680 plus episodes of One Piece? There's a lot of One Piece. Or, if you're like Kathleen and myself, the Persona 4 animation, because it's great. Because the game was like playing a really good anime, and then you can just now watch the anime without the game part. Anyway, if you're interested, there's a link below for a free 30-day trial of Crunchyroll Premium, which lets you watch without ads, and even watch shows that are airing currently in Japan an hour later on the service, on any of your devices. It's pretty sweet. Anyway, check that out. And now, on with the LRRcast.
Coming to you not quite live from the LoadingReadyRun underground orbiting moon base, it's the LRRcast.
What's up?
Hey, everyone.
So it's our shift on Weird Jobs, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never been a rapper. Just want to put that right out there.
All right. So you
I
can't.
make mouth noises.
So weirdest jobs, not inclusive.
Okay. Wait, what? Yeah. Have you... I'm going to, start us off pretty high end, if that's okay.
Like we're gonna make this a competition almost.
Sure.
Have
You... Okay. Have you ever nailed cotton batting to a hill?
Is that kind of like nailing shit to a wall?
Kind of a sex thing.
I had a one-day gig for a special effects company.
Oh.
It wasn't actually a special effects thing. It was Nestea Chill on the Hill, a middle of summer snowboarding competition.
Oh.
So we went out at ass o'clock in the morning to this hill, and our job was to create borders out of hay bales. Which was the way I discovered that I might be allergic to hay.
Hey.
Or just being like gouged in the arms over and over again with like straws.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we spent the rest of the day nailing cotton batting to the hill. And because the reason for this is because they were going to pump snow all over it.
Right.
And it needs a surface to stick to.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it did have a practical application. But the fun part is that later when the sun came out, you're getting baked from the bottom, and then it would reflect off the batting.
Oh.
The hill. So I turned into a potato.
Neat. Did you work shirtless for this whole thing?
Yep.
Did everyone...
I think I might have started approaching heat exhaustion.
Oh, okay.
I was pretty delirious by the end.
That is...
That sounds miserable.
It was
Yeah.
pretty miserable. I made $300 that day.
Oh.
Shit. Yeah, that was not great. But it was unique.
That's because I thought when you'd said cotton batting, I
Yeah,
thought
just like huge rolls,
Yeah.
like 6 foot tall. You know, you just like roll
I
them
didn't
out. We'd
even
get, like,
expect that snow was going to come into this.
there was like spikes. You just nail it down
Okay.
and just like go up the whole hill. And I think I came by later when they had like done a bit of the. We also had to build like grind rails and stuff,
Right.
like just like
Neat.
moguls and shit.
Okay.
Right.
So it was a weird job.
Did they to get rid of it? Did they just burn it all down?
I sure hope so. Just like swish some gas, torch that
It'd
shit.
be way easier to get rid of it this way.
Yep.
Okay.
So, how about you?
Me. Well, okay, I've had one weird job and one absolutely miserable job. Which would you want to hear about first?
I'd like-
Miserable job.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
miserable job?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. When I first got my Bachelor of Arts in English, I went to work for TELUS, which is the phone company in Alberta, British Columbia, and Quebec, I believe.
And I think they're in Ontario too.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Yeah.
probably just all across
yeah, I think
Canada
they're all
now.
they're fully trans Canada now.
Yeah.
And I worked for TELUS in the billing queue, which means when you call TELUS,
You're already angry?
well, when you call TELUS and it asks you, you know, if this is about, you know, expanding your service, press 1. If you want to talk to somebody about like something else, press 2. If you want to talk to somebody about your bill, press 3.
Oh, fuck.
I was 3. And so,
Are you sure you weren't number 2?
so we went through a 4-week-long training program
4
because
weeks.
Yeah, no, because TELUS was using like any bank, any large institution, they were using whatever software they had bought from IBM in 1982.
Right.
No, I see how.
To run
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
we needed to be trained on this thing, and that involved moving the cursor around.
God,
the screen
it's
on
like
the
those
keyboard and-
retail places that still use like ASCII POS systems.
Yeah.
Like Dragon Impact has that, and I can't imagine the pain it would have taken them to do the background that's like their logo over. Well, it's not their logo; it's just the words.
Right.
Yeah.
Dragon Impact over and over again, and it's just like you expect somebody to be playing like Dwarf Fortress on it.
You didn't. I bet you didn't have a mouse. It was all tabs.
No, we had a mouse because that filing system
Yeah.
was now just a program that was being run inside a Windows
Shell?
Oh yeah.
or Windows NT shell.
Right. Right.
And then we also had another like system for actually putting work orders in, and that was now just a record system. It was
Right.
really hacked together.
So you had to go back and forth between all of them all the time.
Yeah. God.
And that was why the people from TELUS are always like, just hang on a second, I need to do this. I need to do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like in the billing queue, you get, broadly speaking, 3 kinds of calls, I think.
All right.
The first call is, I have been on hold for 45 to 90 minutes, and I want to take a stand on this tiny hill over this $2 charge I found on my bill. This
Wow.
far and no further, and if I do not get what I want, I am going to make some utterly powerless threats about it.
Were you cynical before you started this job, or did it drive it into you?
It actually drove a lot of cynicism out of me.
Really? Okay.
Really?
Because I found that after a month or so of this, I just could not be bothered.
You're just
anymore
like,
to give a shit.
fuck these people.
Fuck these people. Fuck anyone's problems. Your problems? Fuck those. That?
You just-
What?
it's like,
no, fuck you.
what the
Where do you think you're going? No, fuck you too.
It's like Office Space when he wakes up the next day after the hypnosis scene. He's just like, yeah.
yeah.
And he doesn't say it, but he's like, I don't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah, and it was this weird state between that was partially not giving a fuck anymore and just realizing everything is okay. And nothing could bother me.
That must be what Zen is like.
And then I felt that settling in, and I recalled a conversation that I had had in my first week on the phones when I went to the break room on my break, because we had to have 95% adherence, which meant that from when you started your shift to when you ended your shift, you had to be on the phones for 95% of that time when you weren't on lunch or on breaks. And when they told us that we had to have 95% adherence, my first thing was like, okay, it's an 8-hour shift, so that means we have 20 minutes of free time where we don't have to be on the phones.
Huh.
And the trainer just stared at me for a second. And I was like, I'm not supposed to say that out loud. Corporate thinks that we have like 6 or 7 minutes of free time a day, and I just said out loud that we actually have 20. That number's probably going to go up now.
Whoops.
I have a friend who works for TELUS. I'm going to ask him if it has, actually.
Yeah.
99.9% adherence.
I don't even remember if it was called adherence, actually.
That's it. I love
but
words like that.
We were also just using this new scheduling system that was computer controlled, so that it would assign you your 2 coffee breaks and then your lunch break based on like the call volume and like historic call volume. And the union was like, again, like they were digging in their heels because it meant like you could sometimes show up for work and your first coffee break would be 15 minutes into your shift.
Oh, shit.
And then your lunch break would be like 45 minutes into your shift.
Right.
And then you would get a coffee break 7 hours later, and then you would be
Die.
off.
Yeah.
So they were
They
like,
just shovel you into the subway.
yeah, and it's like, no, you have to have your coffee break in the middle of the day. And like there was this thing where they were like saying, I don't care when the system schedules you, you take your coffee like at this time and this time and this time. And I'm just like, I'm new here. But anyways, in my first week, I went to the coffee room on my break, and there were 2 kinds of staff. There had been about 20 new service reps hired, and they were all like my age, people just out of university, because they were trying to hire people like long term, right? They were trying to play the long game, and they were hiring people with like university degrees or college degrees and who were young.
To work phones.
Yeah, to work phones. I guess people that they could like use this as an entry level position. And then there were also the like generally 50 plus women who had begun their careers with the phone company as operators
Oh, right. Yeah.
and who had like just steely grips and shoulders from working on pegboards, moving connections from 6 feet up.
Wait. How are those systems still in place?
Oh God, no.
No.
Okay, I was like-
it's all packet switching now. It's
okay,
nobody
yeah.
circuit switches anymore.
Oh, sorry. For
No,
some,
those systems were
I had
gone,
this-
but they started off with them, right?
Oh, okay, so there's like swole as fuck.
Yeah.
Still, residually. And she gave me the job advice. There have been 2 pieces of job advice that I've ever gotten in my life that have really stuck with me. And hers was the second, because she told me, I see you, I pay attention to people who come in here, and I see you, and like, don't worry. When I got here, I went home for the first 2 months I worked here, and I cried every day. And then I stopped giving a fuck.
So it's like that Lily Tomlin sketch where we're the phone company. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here.
You know what? Makes me kind of sad actually that you bring that up is that because I want to hear the thing about the other 2 types of phone calls there is, but the thing that kind of makes me sad is that woman, when she showed up to do this job to move quarter-inch cable in and out of things, right? That's what she signed up for, and she's still there 30 years later.
Yep.
And none of that anymore. And now she's on the phone with people. Like it used to be like, how can I connect your call? Thank you very much. And it's like nobody ever said, I have a problem with my long distance. Like, no, you don't. Click. It's that kind of thing. It's but now it's like people are calling up all the time and they're pissed off and they're angry, and she's just kind of be like. You
are the human contact of the soulless entity.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's like, when I started this, people were really happy to call and call their families and do
Oh,
all
this
this
is
shit.
such a
People were really
novelty.
excited. I get to do it. And it's like, now it's like everyone's pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
That poor woman.
Like the shit don't work no more.
yeah.
Or it's
Please
not
put
even,
my voice into space and then throw it across the continent.
And it's not even the shit don't work. It is, I don't understand this $2 charge.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is explained in the terms of service that come in your phone book.
Did you read them?
Right? And they're like, it's brand new. And it's like, I'm paging through your bills, sir. It's been on every bill for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Right?
You just didn't
some
read it.
equivalent
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, like, it's $2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
anyways, they'd staked out
$2.
this tiny hill, and they were going to fight on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so my one piece of advice is that if you're ever waiting for a call, you have noticed a discrepancy, and you have been on hold for 45 minutes. It sucks. I know it sucks. I've done the same. It sucks. I had a friend who gave me another piece of advice. Actually, no, 3 pieces of advice.
Okay.
Only 2 were generally applicable. The third one was only for on the phones.
Yeah.
If somebody opens up your phone call and they start screaming at you immediately and swearing, just drop the call.
Yeah, no, I'm down with that.
Just drop the call.
I try to go out of my way to be exceedingly polite to people who
like,
serve me on the phone.
I also get that it is, you are frustrated and angry and everything. And like, I feel that too. But this isn't just like, be kind to your fellow humans. This is, they will just hang up on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll have wasted 45 minutes of your
Yeah.
life.
It's also just like, this isn't the person who has screwed you over.
Yeah.
Like, they're
Well,
a
no,
cog.
like, I would get people like screaming at me, and they would be screaming and like very lucidly telling me that they knew that I wasn't who was responsible for it.
Yeah.
And they knew that my manager wasn't the person responsible for it.
Huh.
But they were still yelling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was
But it's
stressful,
like, yeah.
which is an odd kind of low-level stress to be under for
A very
months
long
at a
period.
time.
It's-
Like, not only for like the period you're on the phone call, but every phone call can turn into that very, very quickly
Yeah.
if you don't give somebody exactly what they want.
Yeah.
So, like, the second kind of phone calls were generally the calls from people who were like my phone bill this month is $13,000, and I don't know why.
Somebody goofed.
Yeah, and so we would look at their bills, and generally it could have been one of a couple of things. Usually it would be like you would see a bunch of 1-900 number calls.
okay.
Ooh.
And like the question you would ask is like, well, there's a lot of these like 1-900 number calls.
I
and
don't
you would
know
look up
what
the
those
number
are.
and it would be like phone sex or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there would be a silence on the other end of the line, and you would hear like, generally if it was a woman's voice, there would be a lot of yelling,
Oh, fuck.
or
know,
like this very strange silence.
I knew this day would come moment,
Yeah.
and you're the one delivering the news.
Yeah, it's like I have to go like slap the shit out of my child or something, right? Because generally, like adults don't do that. Like they wouldn't do it to somebody else who's paying the bill,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? But it's the kind of thing 13-year-old
Well-
boys do. At least in my experience, having dealt with it a couple of times. Or it's like somebody's grandmother has been making calls home to Cuba or Belarus or Latvia or whatever,
And not using any sort of way to discount it.
Yeah,
Because they wouldn't know, right? They
yeah,
just-
exactly.
It's like, I'll just call them up.
Yeah, and then what I would do usually at that point is like just prorate that month on whatever international calling plan and like knock their bill down to like a couple $100.
To Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Thank you," and then like my manager would take me aside and be like, "That was very kind,
Don't
but
do
you
it.
didn't have to do that." I'd be like, "No, I didn't."
You're right.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Hello.
Yeah, you're very right. And then the third kind of call was like
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the
generally described as being like somebody who is probably about 1,000 years old who had just remembered that they had a
My
rental
name's
phone.
Methuselah.
Oh shit!
Wait, what?
Like a rent back in the day, back in
Yeah.
the like the 1960s, you used to rent your phone from the phone company. You could at least.
Yeah.
What, like the physical handset?
Yeah.
The physical handset, like the Bakelite
Even into the
handset
1980s.
with the dial on it.
Go on.
Yeah.
And they would realize that they've had this for a long time.
Fuck.
And you would look at their bill and you realize that they have been paying the $1.50 or the $2 or the 75-cent per month rental fee
Uh-huh.
on a dial handset for 40 years.
Yeah.
And you would just be like, "Oh, let me take that off your bill."
Yeah.
Because you have paid us like at $1 a month
So
for
let's
40 years.
$12. Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
That phone was never worth that much to begin with.
Oh God, no. It
a,
was like
a large
$25
amount of
phone.
money.
Yeah. And they'd be really happy, and you would just like have to go on a break right away. 'Cause,
God, this sounds like a lot of Chinese water torture.
and yeah, so I quit after like 2 months.
Wise.
Yeah. And that was when I found out that I was the third to last person from my cadre of trainees to quit.
Oh wow. So you went the distance.
Yeah, and I looked around and realized that everyone I had trained with had already quit.
Oh okay. You had your head down so much you didn't realize everyone else got out of that shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I had to take a trip across country.
Seems good.
I literally like quit, packed a suitcase, and walked down to the bus station like the next day.
Nice.
And I was just like, I have to get out.
We need to do a movie about your life.
need
Just
to
like
buy a
smash
ticket
cut
to
to
anywhere.
ding.
If there's one thing the world needs, it's one more story about a young man who needs to go and find himself after quitting a soulless job.
It'll sell 1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, people will relate to it.
Yeah.
No, well, we would write it. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be
It
interesting.
would be pretty great. Beej.
Yes.
Assuming you're, unless there's.
Do you have
something
another
else.
comment about that though?
No, like that was the phone company job, and that was the worst job I've ever had.
That's
Okay.
pretty horrible.
Then I worked in a halfway house for kids coming out of youth corrections.
Oh shit, that was not your worst job.
Oh no, like that was my weird job.
Okay.
The kids were actually really good. The house we were working in was like just a residential like ranch,
Oh, no.
4-story house.
Go on. Yes.
Where it was like basement, then
Tell
another
me
half
more.
story, another half story, another half story.
Like a split level.
Yeah, split level.
Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, I was the weekend guy, so my shift was 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
So I would get there on Friday evenings and leave Sunday morning.
Okay.
Or no, Sunday evening.
Yeah.
And like, so you would be the only staff member. There would be 2 kids in the house, and didn't have school, so you would just like, you would get them to prep their meals, and then you would get them up in the morning, and then you would take them, because we had like a work program in one of the local sawmills,
Okay.
where they would go and do cleanup.
Oh, okay.
Or it was a planer mill, I think. And so I went and like put on my overalls and helped sweep up sawdust and shit, because that's basically what you did. You put your locks on things and you swept.
So, so you had this job doing this thing at the halfway house, but it also meant that you had to go and do the work with
Yeah.
them as well.
Yeah, that was part of the deal.
Was it kind of like a big brothery thing where you had to set an example for them, or?
I didn't really have to set an example. I just had to
I mean, I guess
supervise
it would
them.
maybe
Okay,
make.
okay.
I mean, if I was in that position, I will try to use my imagination and be like, I guess it would be better than I'm your boss,
Yeah, no,
as opposed to just like, yeah, I'm a coworker. Come on, let's all like be, sweepers.
Yeah, the kids generally really liked me. The other staff members were like, yeah, I mean, we set you up on the weekend. We come back, everything's copacetic.
I love that word.
Yeah, that's where I learned that word.
Ah,
People used it for me a lot. I think it was the one word they knew. But like, I don't know, I got to be like the kid's best friend, which is probably like the most irritating role for other coworkers, because like I got to be the good cop on the weekends. And the kids would behave.
yeah. And they're making money, they're working, so they.
Yeah, they were all generally pretty happy to be working.
Okay.
They were at like that stage of adolescence where it was like, nah, I just want to put in like honest day's work.
Yeah.
Right. The that kind of eager to please age, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
Were they kind of like, were they in that thing where it's like, fuck school, man, I want to go get a job?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Respectable can-do attitude.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Who needs no book learning?
Yeah, I guess they had come out of corrections and they were really eager to kind of like impress, right? They'd been chosen for this program and they wanted to do right by it.
All right.
So I don't know. That was kind of a cool job.
That is actually
very
pretty
odd.
cool.
And then I wound up like, I had to leave it, and then like a couple of weeks later, like they had been really pushing for this model that we had, where it was only a couple of kids in the house.
Okay.
Because usually it's like 12 kids in a house, and it's just basically like a flop house. Right?
Yeah.
And then they swapped over to that after shortly after I left. It wasn't because I left, but like my boss is like, you might want to get out now.
Oh, okay. Because it's about to be like a dozen kids and
Yeah. And it's just going to be like,
bedlam.
well, not quite bedlam, but like the kids are going to have like a really high return rate. Yeah.
Like
a drag.
like recidivism. Like
Yeah,
they're basically,
recidivism,
we're going
yeah.
to see them leave the house and they're going to be right back in the
Yeah, they're
system.
gonna
They're
get
going to come
picked
right
up
back
and-
again.
yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So basically, like your job will stop being like supervising and like dealing with these kids, and it'll be more like signing them in and out, making sure that like the cabinets are always stocked with chips for when they come home baked.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
That is a weird job.
And then like calling the cops when they come home like drunk, right, or when they break curfew,
I see.
Yeah.
right, to get them trucked back to corrections. And I'm like, that sounds like it sucks.
Yeah, that sounds like it sucks. Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was me.
It's funny though, because that just reminded me of my brother who worked in a group home, but it was for endangered youth, I guess. Like same kind of, but kids who are not in the system, but it was like they are probably going to end up in the system, but they've been taken
Right.
out of their houses, kind of deal. And he says the hardest part about working in that is that the house is secret; no one can know where it is. Because it's a rescue house, right? It's like these kids have been taken out of a really shitty situation, but they also act up a fair bit. But now they're living, 8 to a house kind of deal. And my brother was working there as an actual, like a full jobby job, and he several times had to restrain kids. Like he's like, you have to be taught how to do it,
Right.
because these kids will start throwing a fit, and they will throw a big fit, and they will lose any sort of inhibition.
Yeah.
They will gain that kind of strength that's just kind of like, I will end everything, and then you have to learn how to restrain them so they can't hurt you, but they can't hurt themselves, and they can't hurt anything
Yeah, I
else.
never had any of that training.
Which is really good, because I thought that's where that was going. It's like
No.
you're gonna have to do
I had to
that.
put this kid
No,
in full Nelson one time.
One problem with the kids, and we had one kid who came in and like he just disappeared over one weekend because he wasn't allowed to do a thing,
Oh, I see.
and I was just like, spent a lot of time on the phone, and when they came back, they wound up being shipped back, and it was really sad.
That's too bad.
Well,
So weird jobs I've had. Damn it.
weird and or shitty.
Well, I mean, when I was all for this when I was younger. Everyone wanted a paper route, right? Because that's
For whatever reason. I guess
Yeah.
it's just because it's like they give you money to like put a paper
yeah.
it's like,
in a mailbox?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
could do that.
Yeah, it's like, I can do things. I can be helpful.
You're just
Shit.
like, oh, this
And
is really fucking boring.
every kid's supposed to have a paper route. Like that's the thing. Is
well,
it?
it's a youth rite of passage.
It is
It's
in a way.
iconic.
Yeah, you know, and
It's the ye old first job.
because otherwise you have to open like a lemonade stand. And
Right.
No, that
basically,
lemonade stand is a precursor to the.
well,
to
sure,
the
because
paper
you
route.
can't be hired, so you have to kind of get entrepreneurial. And I had this. So to be clear, I grew up reading an awful lot of Archie comics, right? And so when you and anything in that vein, you know, what you get is you get exposed to the Americana of what it's like to be a child, like especially little Archie stuff too, right? It's like these are the things that you do. Is that you make a lemonade stand, or then you will go get a paper route, or then you will do these other things to kind of earn a little scratch so you can go buy comic books and
You'll
penny
shoot
candies.
girls with slingshots.
Exactly, right? Like those. I always want a slingshot because I'm like, well, this is part of growing up.
So did I.
I want a slingshot.
I had a birthday one time where I got 3 slingshots
Jesus.
I was never allowed to
because
have
I didn't
one.
coordinate.
Oh yeah, I wasn't allowed to have one.
It was
either.
stupid. I never ended up really using them on anything because it's like, oh wait, I actually have to shoot this at stuff.
My dad made me nunchucks for a costume.
Did you get hit in the nuts?
No, they were immediately taken away. Not because he's
Yeah,
like,
they
yeah,
were.
I'll let you carry these. You'll be able to go to school with them with your outfit, right? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. 'Cause- And then I found out about the day before the Halloween party at school. It was like, you cannot take those. And I'm like, now I'm just a guy in a karate gi, essentially, right? Like that's now I'm just a guy, and I wanted some.
You're a weeaboo.
I wanted weapons, right? Like 'cause to be
Right.
cool.
These
and it's
are
like, no.
weapons.
So anyway, back to the
Yes.
Meat and potatoes.
Salt and pepper.
But paper route. The problem is that everybody always wants the paper route. The Medicine Hat News was the thing. I grew up in Medicine Hat, and so that was like what you wanted because in your entire neighborhood, there's maybe 65 to 75 subscribers. You probably would make about $20 a month or whatever it was that you were making.
A month.
I don't know what it was, but it was, had very few people that got it, and of course you also had to go around and collect. But it was you were making money like back in the 80s. It's like you were making like real money.
Yeah.
Those were not available because once you get a paper route, you tended to stick with it for a very, very long time, and there's no attrition.
Right, you squat on that paper route.
Yeah, which sucks because it means that anybody else who's like a 12-year-old kid who wants to do that, it's like no, because there's some 17-year-old kid who still has his paper route, and he's like, I'm going to do this
It's
until
like our job market right now.
I know, right?
Let's look at the older kids instead of baby
You're just like,
And so what happened was there was an alternative newspaper in town. There was the Shopper.
shopper.
The Shopper is anybody in the States will probably think of that as a penny saver or anything like that. Is basically it is the paper that is full of advertising. That's
Right,
all it is
right.
pure advertising, classified ads, advertising for everything. That's
Man,
what
I
it
kind of
is.
wish that's how it was all the time. It's like you just have one like phone book full of the ads, and all the other publications have no ads.
Yes, and they
I mean, it would never work.
No,
but
exactly.
That would be sweet. Just people pondering through ads. It's like, oh, look at this stuff.
Well, the Shopper's free.
Well, obviously, it would have to.
It has to
free.
be. So it's supported by
No,
advertising.
pay me to be advertised to.
And that means that then you deliver 215 papers on a route.
Right.
That's going to translate into a lot of papers, which means that's a lot of money because you're delivering a lot of papers, right?
Yeah.
Again, those papers are free, which means that you get paid by weight. Oh. 1/2 cent per gram.
Did you wet the papers first?
No, because the
should've.
papers are weighed before they're delivered to you, and then that is how much you were going to be paid for delivering all those papers that week.
Wait.
And you're paid every 2 weeks. And so what happened was when I got into this, I discovered that 215 papers is fucking impossible for like a 12-year-old kid to deliver because you can't get on your bike with huge bags of papers. We
You have to
found that out.
you have to reload all the time.
Right. And so that means that you're constantly leaving your house, riding around to do like a street. And I lived in Ross Glen, so you can look that up on the maps and find out where Ross Glen was, and you'll see where the area I used to live in. So you would ride down the boulevard and come back after doing 40 papers. So you would pick up some more papers. You would go out. Now you have to go past that one and go like to another one and then come back. And you would keep doing this. And of course, that's not going to work. So my dad worked out a way, and he's like, okay, so you're going to split this with your brother. So Aaron's going to do this as well. He's delivering 7 papers, you're delivering 108. We're going to divide up your routes so that you guys have the equal number of houses and routes to be able to do. So Dad was very much like, plan of attack. Here's how we're going to do this. We're going to give you each a wagon, and then you're both going to wagon your papers out to the edge of whatever, and you're going to leave them in this one spot, and then you're going to work out in this way like this. You can do this, and you can do this, you can do this. And it's like, work a flower pattern. Always work back to your hub where all your papers are. And then when you come back for the last one, you can do your last route, and then you can walk home. And it was, I still remember the route. Like, that's the thing. I did this a lot. It is the most fucking boring job to deliver 108 papers, especially when you can't. What's the other iconic thing of Americana? Paperboy flinging the fucking paper, right?
No. Ride past.
Every paper goes in the mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that slows you down. I hated this job, but when the paycheck comes, it's like, all right, yes, here we go. Here, paycheck. Yes, it's going to be awesome. And it was
49 cents.
It was $16
Oh!
over 2 weeks,
Oh!
split between my brother and I, because we both did delivery.
Even in 80s money, that's wow.
So we both got $8 each. Actually, no, I think I'm fucking this up. I think it was $8 is what we got, split into 2. So we both got $4 or whatever it was. And then that got split into 2 again, I think. No, I'm maybe doing this wrong. I think I ended up with $4 at the end because a chunk of my money also had to go into the bank. Because if you're going to spend some, you're going to save some.
Yeah.
So every 2 weeks, I got $4 for delivering 108 papers.
What did you get to buy with $4?
Candy. Because that's all you can fucking afford, right?
Yep.
I made $5 a week in allowance.
Yeah.
By doing chores in my house, I would make $5 a week doing that.
Yeah.
And this $4, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, after doing it for a month or so.
It is teaching you traditional values and what to actually expect out of the job market.
And that's the thing. And it was probably like one of the shittiest jobs I've worked, especially in the middle of winter. When you don't, now you're wagon pulling through snow.
Man,
Medicine Hat, and it's like
that's
40 below.
Yeah, and you never
Literally
know.
40 below.
It's literally 40
you
below.
just see the like corpses of the previous kids, like frozen, like stalactites.
It was
It's basically like the fucking Shackleton expedition.
the best.
I have to deliver some papers. I may be sometime.
The best part, because you get up in your fucking snowsuit and put everything on, and then I'd be out in the middle of the snow, and I'd be pulling this shit along, and I'd be tired and exhausted, and just can't fucking do it anymore, and I would stop, and I would stand there, and I would cry. And then when I was done crying, I'd pick up the wagon and I'd keep rolling. And I was like, I couldn't. And the thing is that, like, that age, that's not, you don't do that. You don't, a boy doesn't cry, that kind of shit, right? And at 12 years old, I'm standing there and I realized how utterly powerless I am in this situation. I can't quit this job. I can't give it up. I can't get in. I can't. And I can't keep up.
That
I finally was after, like, I think we worked for 6 months and then I gave it up.
Yeah, that sensation is awful enough when you have some sort of sense of perspective on it, but to a kid that's like, I'm in hell, this is hell, I'm gonna be here forever, my life is over.
The only saving grace of that was we found out that anybody who did catalog distribution in town, like Sears with the Wish Book, Consumers Distributing with their catalogs, right, because they were a mail order place. So what that meant was you have 55 catalogs to deliver because they're subscribers. They're by weight, which meant now we made $32 on one delivery.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was, Aaron and I still had to split it, but that meant that I had $16 coming in, which split again means I got $8. I got $8 to actually go out and do some shit with. And it was like the Mecca. Like, you were waiting. It's like, why can't we do this every week? And it's like, well, no, because that would be a real paper route then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Welp.
No, my parents just gave me $10 a week to not have a paper route.
Yeah.
Nice.
They were like, we know you want a job. Don't do it.
Yeah. Be a kid. Be a kid a lot longer.
Yeah.
I mean, I will probably be in favor of my kid being like, I want a job doing the thing. And I'll be like, great. And you have to do it for a month. And then at the end of that month, if you want to stop, you can. If like, I won't want to stop, I'm like, oh,
Sure you will.
Oh,
We'll find. We will.
Yeah.
Go
I'm
hard.
just gonna leave this option here on the table, and you can take whatever you want.
It just is kind of, it's kind of like, it represents to me how utterly like that fucking Americana kind of bullshit that was all like in the 1950s, that kind of thing. It's like that dream died a long time ago and doesn't happen anymore. No. And I
bootstraps, Beej.
Yeah, right? Like, oh, just do this shit. And then,
Guess what?
Fucking,
It's an imaginary hustle set up by the people who are gonna vacuum out your wallet.
there's a book called The Wealthy Barber. Okay. This is like a timeless book, apparently, written in the 1980s about, here's how you can like help yourself invest better. It's like good for fiscal management. There was a book written by this guy called The Wealthy Paper Carrier,
Okay.
which was after he wrote The Wealthy Barber, he was like, yeah, Wealthy Paper Carrier. And my dad said, you might like this. And he gave it to me. It's half story and half advice. And the story opens with these two kids, brother and sister, both around the same age, both like, well, what do we need money for? And it's like, oh, well, you get money and you can do, all these things. I was 14 reading this thing. And as I read the book, it was like the kid gets a job. It's all set in Canada. It's like he gets a job delivering papers. I'm like, I delivered papers too. He's like, he gets delivering papers for the Ottawa Citizen. So he's pulling in $60 a week. And I'm like, fuck you. And I nearly just threw the book on the ground. I was so pissed off.
Right.
Because then he both the boy and the girl in the story, they like 20 years later, when Molson and Labatt merged as companies and now they're in their 20s and stuff. I remember that from the book too. Now they're like captains of fucking industry. And I was just, because they saved their money when they were young and they spent a little of it and did all these things. I'm kind of like...
So you're looking at it and thinking... This is never going to happen to
Yeah,
me. I'm actually never going to get wealthy.
Yeah, that's literally, I looked at them like, if I don't have a job when I'm 14, and I'm 14 now, and I didn't have that job then,
You fucked.
I'm fucked. I can't do anything. I guess I'm going to go work at Bonanza, which is then what I did.
That may
Bonanza
bring me...
was like the place where you lined up and you ordered while you were in line.
Yep.
And then you picked up your food at the cash register.
Yeah, well, the Bonanza in town, how it worked is that it was salad bars first. It was like unlimited salad bars. You order your steak in line, you pay for it, and you go sit down. So it's like cafeteria style. You pay for it at the end of the thing. Then you go sit down, put your coats down, grab your plates, go get salad bar, go get unlimited drinks, sit down, and then someone will bring you your steak to your table.
Right.
And it's like, that's good. I worked as a busboy there for 4 months.
Right.
I gave up that job because I'd had enough.
Which brings us neatly around to other jobs related to the food industry. Have you ever... I'm sorry.
No, let's hear
Have
it.
you ever had the butterfly effect illustrated in flawless detail before?
Like in 10 seconds kind of deal?
Well, I mean, it took a long time, but it's
Okay.
just like... This was such a great experience because it was so interesting to see what such a tiny little thing could cause so much mayhem. It's like I worked as a dishwasher at Rebar downtown for a long time, and the job itself sucked. It was shitty work under shitty conditions, but everybody who worked there was lovely. The food was good, and I put up with it. It was fine. It was not a bad job. But one evening, a 1/8" cotter pin on the washing machine broke. So the washing machine didn't work anymore. And this very gradually began to cascade throughout the entire restaurant until the whole fucking thing ground to a halt. And I just was like holding this thing in my hand, and I was just like,
It is a strange fate that we
how
should
many
suffer
more
so
of these
much.
1/8" cotter pins are there in the world?
Yeah.
They'll break, and then it'll just be like
Deepwater Horizon.
thousands of deaths, or just like, capsized tankers or whatever. It's just like,
It was the slamming the big red button.
yeah, because it's like I couldn't wash dishes, so we couldn't give fresh dishes to the kitchen. They
Right.
couldn't plate stuff to give to the customers, and like they just couldn't serve food anymore, so the
Yeah.
restaurant had to close.
Yeah.
Right.
They just had to be like last orders, and now we're fucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
It,
It is a strange fate that we should suffer so much, over such a small thing. Boromir, give me the cotter pin.
give me the fine.
See,
I care for it not.
working at Bonanza like as a busboy, it's funny because the thing is that you went around and picked up everybody's shitty plates because there'd be the worst was a family comes in with 2 or more kids because they cannot keep control of and so what would happen is that you would go to that table and there would be a dozen plates on the table because the kids have gone back multiple times to get salad and they won't take their original plates and they won't finish what's on their fucking plate. So my tub is half full of garbage and huge things of half-eaten, not even half-eaten. They had 3 scoops off the top of their
If
big
they're like the
fucking-
French fry ziggurat glazed with ketchup.
Sometimes, because I had to wipe down those tables, I had to clean all that shit up. But part of the thing is that you have to keep taking all those dishes back in, and then you go to the back and you dump out your tub and you put everything in the thing. And the bus boys, we have to keep this shit moving because there's only so many dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I worked
was
as a
always a little
dishwasher
nerve-wracking.
for like one shift just because somebody was like, I can't make it. They're like, did you want to work dish? I'm like, yes, please. Because it's clean. It's a clean
No, it
thing.
isn't.
Well, it's cleaner than work. All busing tables is a bonanza is your ass deep in
Yeah.
ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I when I was 15, I got a job working at White Spot, which is a local restaurant chain for
Local family restaurant.
yeah,
Yeah.
local family restaurant. It's like
They
half
serve
step-
wholesome food.
one step to half a step above like a Denny's,
Yeah.
basically, right? I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah, it is food.
Yeah, and I worked in the fountain, which was I made desserts and milkshakes, and
That doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah.
you are sticky
Oh,
up to the shoulders,
Oh.
usually because you're covered in milkshake shrapnel.
Right.
yep. Okay.
And, like, and then like the air in the kitchen is just like this
Stale.
mist of
Oh,
grease.
yeah.
Because
You know-
they deep fry everything, right? And anyone who's worked in a kitchen is familiar with this,
Yeah.
right? But like that was where I got my first piece of advice about work because I was like working, I was getting really upset because we were behind and it was a giant rush and
Yeah.
people were like yelling at me, like literally yelling at me.
Yeah.
And one of the line cook just says, "Hey man, it's fuck it."
Fuck it. It's like,
You know, they're going to get their food eventually.
Yep.
Don't freak out. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
no, I mean,
It's just food.
it is just
If they have
food.
to wait 5 more minutes, then for a
Tough.
milkshake,
Like
then
shit.
they'll live.
On like fucking lazy nights, like nights when there were not a lot of people coming in, I'm doing my circuit, picking up plates and shit. And we have the managers there who are younger guys who are like in their mid-20s kind of deal, right? Who are like, they're giving you the gears about you're not working fast enough. And it's like, there's plenty of plates, there's plenty of glasses, there's plenty of all these things. Of course, you're 14, right? So you
Yeah.
don't talk back to your manager. But in retrospect, I'm like, there is all of these plates and all this other shit, and the kitchen is not behind. They're up. They're doing their thing. I'm going and cleaning up places where stuff's being done. I can only carry so much in my tub, right? Like I'm also 14 years old and not terribly strong, and it's like I'm not a fucking linebacker. I can only carry what I can carry, and sometimes I have to do half my run and then walk back to the thing because somebody got 6 steaks. And there's a whole bunch of other shit, and my tubs just become too heavy.
Yeah.
The saving grace of that job was when I quit because I was looking forward to quitting,
Oh, yeah.
and I quit in September of my grade 9 year, which was great because I was like, no, I got to go back to school. I can't be doing this. Yes, and so quit that job.
We should do a separate podcast on
I-
like good quitting stories.
Yeah. Well, when I quit, I had one shift left that I had to work because I gave them 2 weeks, right? So, because you want to be good about this. That the day I came in to work that shift, all of the plastic, I'd been off for like a week and a half. All the plastic plates were gone because we used to have like plastic, salad plates, and all of the steak plates are plastic rimmed metal plates, and it sucks to have a lot of those because they're heavy. They got rid of all the plastic plates for salad bar and replaced them with ceramics. I could barely lift my tub.
Yeah.
I was shocked because I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And of course, because I'm young and I'm not that strong to begin with, and it's like I used to be able to carry like dozens and dozens of plates, and I'd be really good at like getting them all to fit in there, like Tetrising the shit in there. And I'm like,
you have to start again from scratch.
no, well, because it was the last
design.
It was the last day, right?
Oh, okay.
And so for me, it was like, oh, you poor fuckers. Like I was happy like taking this stuff out. I'm like, this is miserable, but I don't care. It's my last shift. I don't give a shit about what's going on from here after this.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times.
Yeah. The only thing I really liked at White Spot was they also trained me as a busboy, and I got tipped out there because they did not tip out to the kitchen.
Ah.
And that's the first time I got sexually harassed on the workplace when one of the waitresses slipped her tip money into my pocket, like physically, and I'm like, that's
not
with
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Weird.
And then I liked working in the dish pit as well because the dish pit was like 40 degrees with 100% humidity in the middle of the summer, but it kept my skin clean.
Yeah, because you ultimately, it's like when you're up to your elbows in crap. Ultimately, it's kind of nice to be like, I know that I'm taking dirty
Producing
dishes,
the clean-
but I'm making clean dishes.
Yeah. It's just like a filth processing plant.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything we can do in the last little time we have left?
I worked in an arcade.
I worked security at an airport. Good paying job. Nobody is allowed to yell at you.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time working production, but I almost think that it could be its own podcast because of the weird shit that happened in that job.
I'm trying to think of what else I might have done.
I'm
as
trying to
a...
think of the weird.
The-
Whoa!
The one weird story I have from working at the airport, if you guys want to hear it,
Yes.
Yeah.
is on my very last day. You cycle through your positions, the airport security check.
So if you're working like the same location.
Yeah, like every 5 minutes, you're supposed to everyone cycles through completely.
Okay.
So that nobody gets like complacent or whatever. I don't know. And the guy on X-ray is like scanning through bags, and he's looking at the monitor to see what's coming up, and he like looks at a bag, and he like kind of gives a cock out, like he like stares at it. And he's like,
no.
oh, okay, and he like pulls it through, and then he looks over to see who's on searching bags, and it's me. And it's my last day.
Oh, no.
And he stops the conveyor belt and he says, I'm going to need you to check this bag.
Fuck.
And he sends it over to the searching station.
Uh-huh.
And I go over and I'm like,
It's
okay.
a dildo, isn't it?
I grab the bag and I'm like, there's a guy standing there. I'm like, is this your bag, sir? And he's like, oh, yes. Why? Why? And I'm like, I just need to look through it. And I bring it over to the station. The guy's like really nervous and he's really upset. And I'm like, oh, fuck, what? Like,
Yeah.
Did I find a bag of weed or something?
Okay,
And I'm
here we
going,
go.
And I look at the screen, and there is a dildo in the bag.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, please let me find anything else to find in this bag.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to pull this out.
No, I don't, because it's humiliating.
Yes, it
right?
is.
Like, for the passenger, it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not something that should have... It's kind of funny in retrospect,
Yeah.
because it's an awful thing to do to someone.
Yeah.
No, wait, that came out wrong. It's a funny story. Why do you need your dildo in your carry-on? For God's sake, man.
I don't have
And
anybody to join the Mile High Club with.
Anyways, I found a giant wad of keys in one pocket. And you can't see through keys on an X-ray because they're brass. They just show up as like this black mass.
Right.
And so I just tell him all I need to do is like, looks like there's a pack of keys. And he's like, let me get them out for you. And I'm like, I actually have to search the bag. And I pull them out and he's like, okay, I'm just going to check to see that there's no like
Weapons.
tool or whatever on it. Or like a pocket knife, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I was able to find like something else so I don't have to like eviscerate this guy's backpack in front of like his family.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
God, he wasn't traveling alone.
No.
Oh, that poor
Oh,
bastard.
Man.
Oh.
That is
Did
a
you
drag.
kind of give like the squirmy eye at your colleague?
It's
You're
like-
like, why the fuck did you do that to me?
Yeah.
Or to him rather?
Yeah. It was just like, what the hell, man?
He was cold as ice.
It's one of these days I would love to travel with a carry-on bag full of nothing but dildos.
You're just like lined up.
We got those people, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the Fantasia party people.
What?
Okay.
You've never heard of a Fantasia party? It's like a Tupperware party, only it's with sex toys.
Yes.
Okay. I think I saw a sign on the sex shop downtown about like sex toy parties. Do you actually just like look at them, or do you?
Yeah, it's for people who are like maybe uncomfortable going into like a sex toy shop or a sex shop, and like they'll come to your
Because,
house and they'll
like,
like do like
a
the
show. Like
Yeah.
exactly like Tupperware.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
Yes, not a show,
I
but
thought about it and I was like, what do they do? Do they like participate? Do you like trade notes? You like swap them
so
or something?
At
'Cause-
a bachelorette party where they will normally do this kind of thing, what'll happen, because it's, everyone will have a few
like-
glasses of wine throughout the
Haha,
night.
that's so funny. I'd never use that.
Yeah. And what happens is that because if enough women buy something, then the bride-to-be gets something for free. So it's kind of like,
yeah. So it's it enables
yeah.
it provides a I don't know plausible
It sounds like good.
deniability.
It sounds like
Yeah,
good
I mean, like,
cheeky fun.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly healthy.
And so it's like,
fun,
here,
right?
this is this chocolate body dust, and the woman will take out like a feather or something. She'll put it in the dust and she'll spread it on your arm. You can lick it off and be like, ooh, neat. And it's like,
Right.
here, there's this lube, and she puts a little squirt in your hand. You feel like, oh, wow, that's amazing, right? And then later on, the more hardcore shit comes out because everyone
Okay, we
gets
got
a
this
little more
rubber
drunk.
foot on a chain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and,
Did I tell you I found that one time?
Yes,
Rubber
actually,
foot on a
yes.
That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a sex shop.
Yeah,
I like but I'm with it up to the rubber foot. I'm like, I get it. Foot fetish, large object insertion, whatever.
Yeah,
But the chain?
yeah. Was it like a plastic like Halloween chain?
No, I think it was metal.
Oh Jesus!
But I don't remember.
Sounds cold.
yeah,
Yeah.
thick link or like
Oh, yeah, real thick link.
okay.
dude, we're not gonna use this like pansy ass like
Well, I just
wire chain
like if it was
bullshit.
like chain like this, because
No,
this
no,
would be
no.
uncomfortable.
No.
You know, I would
Yeah, no,
scratch.
no.
Yeah.
rubber foot on a chain.
Rubber
Yeah,
foot
no.
on a chain.
At the security checkpoint, we had this one lady come through with like a demonstration case of dildos. And, like, she was like.
Well,
it's her
I'm sure
job,
she's
right?
used to it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, yep, case of dildos.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Everything in its
Try
place.
something.
Yeah, and like the person searching it was like fine with it. Everyone's fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anywho, I think we're just about out of time. So
So we got to wrap all that up.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been enlightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more material for work stories because like it just you spend a lot of your life working
Yeah.
Yeah.
usually,
Yeah.
and unusual things happen.
Yeah.
Work.
All right. This has been LRRcast.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
We've had a good time.